Oh man, YouTube family, we got one of them interviews today, and y'all been asking for it for a long time. I got MAGDOG TV in the building. You know what I'm saying? My man been kicking up a lot of dust over here, and we need y'all to show love. Let's go ahead and first, before we even get to any of that, make sure you go in and subscribe. And there is a link in the description of this video if you're watching on YouTube. MAGDOG TV. He's 43,000 strong over there, my guy. You pulled up. You've been covering Colorado. You've been covering Coach Prime. You've been covering Shedeur Sanders. We finally got it done, my dude. I'm excited to have you. Everybody excited. What it do? How you doing today, my man?
I'm doing good, doing good. First and foremost, I want to appreciate you, for allowing me to be on your platform. I've been watching you since the Shedeur Sanders movement to Cleveland, and I definitely appreciate you for allowing me to be on your platform. I've been covering Shedeur since Jackson State, and I'm excited to get the show going.
Listen, man. I'm super excited about having this conversation because one of the things that I like from your angle is I like the fact that you are coming at it from a coverage standpoint. You know, there's guys that do opinion, there's guys that's moving around is trying to do they do opinion stuff. I'm more of an opinion person. There's insiders. There are people who are film breakdowns. There's people who come from it just from a perspective of I'm following Shedeur. This is what we're gonna do. But I like what you do because what you do is you take a perspective and you look at it from almost a semi-journalistic point, right? Like you gonna tell what's going on with the Cleveland Browns. You're gonna tell what's happening and trying to figure out what the tea leaves are and putting the news together. And one of the things that I enjoy so much about MAGDOG TV is because you take it from a more of a journalistic standpoint and approach, and you try to get what it is in terms of accuracy on the boots on the ground, figuring out what's going on. How did you figure and how did you come up with that approach? And is that an approach you've been always doing as you covered Colorado, as you cover Shedeur, and as you cover Prime?
Yeah, that's definitely an approach that I feel like is very important. As you mentioned earlier, with me having a very big audience, I think being honest and having that real, legit content is very important because we have a very strong community over there at MagDog TV. It's more of like a family-oriented type of community. And so it's very important. And I also listen to my audience. Sometimes I make videos and I may be covering something with maybe a reporter or insider may say that we know it's BS, and my fans will let me know, look, hey, let's get away from that. And so it's not just me; it's more so me out listening to my CU aunties and and things like that. So it's more about me listening to my audience as well.
Yeah, listen, one of the things that I looked at and what I saw is, we'll get to some of the things that we've been talking about, but mostly it's I love the way that you approach it. Be like, listen, these dudes is out of pocket. Either Mary Kay was tripping today, or
Yeah.
the next day Tony Croce was tripping today, or it could be anybody in Anthony Lima or some of the favorites. The funny part about it is I know all of them. I work with all of them, right? And so the thing that I've been trying to educate people, and I've watched some of your videos, and the thing that I've been trying to educate people is to look through the smoke and mirrors. Look through the smoke and mirrors, kind of see through what's been happening and to try to read the tea leaves in terms of what they're presenting and what's actually the facts. As
Right.
you see it, what are some of the things that you've seen, as Shedeur went through this season and into now? What are some of the steps that you've seen where the media has kind of been like, hold on, is this really accurate what y'all talking about?
Well, it started with the off season. When you hear about all these Malik Willis gonna, he coming, or Anthony Richardson, Aaron Rodgers. When you hear all this, it's like they always trying to say something. It's Shedeur against everybody, and so when you see these type of things being reported, you automatically know it's BS. Um, I do think that this year it's a lot different than it was last year with the new head coaching change. Kevin Stefanski, I feel like gave the media more access, And so this year, I think with this new head coach, Todd Monken, it's more about what's done inside the facility, whereas they're not given the same type of access that Kevin Stefanski gave. And so you see that when you see that maybe Mary Kay may say they want to sign Malik Willis, and then you see that it doesn't happen. And then they try to come up with something else, Ty Simpson. And so when you see things over and over and over again, that's when you realize that, a lot of it is just gossip, basically.
Yeah, listen, I tell you, you mentioned Kevin Stefanski. Now, Kevin, he done been in the media. He done been in the circles the last couple. Jarvis Landry then came out and talked about him giving up the play calling. You see he's moving. He went and got two out there. The people a couple of people I talked to FB teams, people in Atlanta, they scratching their head a little bit. But I will say this. One of the things that I've always said was, Kevin Stefanski, and when you talk about the local media, Kevin Stefanski was very integral in feeding a lot of the narratives and feeding a lot of the information out there about Shedeur Sanders. Not only him, but in terms of his messaging, period. And I think Todd Monken has come in, and along with Andrew Berry, they've come up with a very, very solid approach in terms of the way that they're dealing with media and the way they're going about it. I think that they're trying to hit a reset button. And I think that what they're trying to do is be more out in front in terms of saying, hey, we're going to give Shedeur an opportunity to compete, but also we do like some traits that he has in terms of his playmaking, in terms of his leadership, in terms of his mobility. How have you seen the contrast between the way Kevin Stefanski kind of handled it and the way Todd Monken is going about his business now?
Big change. I mean, from the interviews, we see Todd Monken actually mentioning Shedeur Sanders' name. He speak about the traits that you just mentioned. Shedeur Sanders' ability to get outside the pocket. He's very high on that. And with Kevin Stefanski, it was always beating around the bush. They asked a question about Shedeur Sanders, and then he would talk about Dylan Gabriel or the team. As a team, we should do this, we should do that. And so with Todd Monken, he speak directly to the media as far as whatever they're asking when it comes to Shedeur. And I think that makes Shedeur more relaxed. It allows him to really get into his bag. And so what's crazy is that Shedeur is not a scrambler, though. That has a lot to do with the offensive line. What we've seen this offseason is that Andrew Berry is definitely going all out as far as spending over $75 million on the O-line when, not signing any type of quarterback. I think that is also, very important for Shedeur. But it's one thing for you to play for a coach that don't believe in you, whereas another when you have a coach that truly believes in you, that's been wanting you since high school. I mean, I think that alone sends a message to us as Browns fans or Shedeur Sanders fans that he would definitely will be QB1.
Listen, man, I like what you said. It's levels to this thing. It's levels between. My dad always used to tell me, "Hey, man, you might want to go to the dance with the girl who think you cute." Listen, man, you don't be out here. You're chasing down the street, bro. You got to go with the girl who like you. It's nothing
Exactly.
like it. And to be honest with you, when you look at what Shedeur Sanders, from the time that he got drafted, it was obvious that Dylan Gabriel was the choice of Kevin Stefanski. It was obvious that Shedeur Sanders, when the articles come out and multiple people from my colleagues at UCSS, my colleagues at 92.3 The Fan, from all over the industry, they talked about the goal was to redshirt Shedeur Sanders, to not play him and let him come along slowly. So that's all you needed to know, that they was not even going to play him. If it
I,
was not for Andrew Berry and Jimmy Haslam moving people out the way, they might have not even got to that MAGDOG. They might not even gotten to him as being an opportunity to see what he can do.
I agree with you 100%. I mean, anytime you bring in four quarterbacks and then, you promise that it's going to be a QB battle. We saw the QB tracker. I mean, we saw that Shedeur had less interceptions the whole camp, more completions. I mean, he was giving it a good run with Joe Flacco, yet he was on the opposite side of the field, practicing with the hungry dogs. I think that's what they call it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that we knew if it was BS from the jump. And so this year, I think that it's going to be a different type of ball game this year. I really feel like he's going to get a real legit opportunity to be the QB1. And I think that's what they what they want this year.
Oh, well, listen. Well, we got to get you preface it and you got right into the point. Now it's a difference. You can see the energy. I completely agree with you that Shedeur Sanders, and I've been saying to the audience, and I've been saying that to the Browns community, that Shedeur Sanders, if you just watch, if you just read and you can get into it, it's time for him to put the wrist up because the Browns have changed their messaging. This was the promo video. I'm sure we've all seen it, but we gonna refresh their memory. This is the promo video that the Cleveland Browns put out. Not it wasn't MAGDOG TV. It wasn't a barbershop. It wasn't simply ball dropping. It wasn't FB teams, and it was not Big Snacks. This was the Browns. Watch the messaging. Now, mind you, we didn't get a Dylan Gabriel one of these or Deshaun Watson. We're going to continue to put it together. Here we go.
Saying Shedeur Sanders arrived in the NFL with high expectations would be an understatement, but that's nothing new for this Browns quarterback. Football has always been a part of Sanders' life. His father, Dion, is a member of both the Pro Football and College Football Hall of Fame, and from an early age, Shedeur learned what preparation, accountability, and confidence demand, and how necessary they are if you're going to stay in the bright lights.
A lot of people don't understand it's a lot more adversity than you think, just even being the son of Deion Sanders.
At Trinity Christian High School in Texas, with Dion calling the offense, Shedeur led his team to a state championship while developing the calm, controlled style that would define his game. That approach carried over to college. Across 2 seasons at Jackson State, Sanders posted a 23-3 record as a starter, becoming one of the most efficient quarterbacks in college football. In 2022, he was named SWAC Offensive Player of the Year. But he craved a bigger stage. In 2023, Sanders took his game to Colorado and changed the program's trajectory. Over 2 seasons, he rewrote the school's record book, finishing his career as Colorado's all-time leader in passing touchdowns. In 2024, he posted a 165.9 passer rating and earned Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year honors. The NFL draft didn't go as anyone expected, least of all Shedeur. But he stayed ready, and when the call came from the Browns with the 144th pick, Sanders knew he'd found an opportunity. Draft position only defines where the journey starts. Down that road, learning the NFL game, staying prepared, and striking when the moment was right. By the end of the year, in 8 games, Shedeur threw for 1,400 yards and 7 touchdowns and was named to the Pro Bowl as a reserve. To decompress off the field, Shedeur trades one stage for another, expressing himself through music. It's another reflection of competence built through preparation. The only attention he's truly seeking is to the details.
This is, to me, listen, the Cleveland Browns, let me just tell you something. My perspective, MAGDOG, is this is the first time they have actually celebrated him. This is the first time you've not heard his statistics in college used as some sort of talking point where it didn't matter. All the other quarterbacks are good. College stats don't count. It was the first time that they've leaned into the fact that you can be confident that it's okay for your father to be a Hall of Famer, not only in college, but pros, to highlight that not only his father coached him in college, but they won a state championship. The fact that he was excited and happy to come to the Browns. This is completely different than what was happening last year. And for once, they actually got together, and it seems like the organization wrapped their arms around them. What was your thought process when you had the opportunity to see that?
When I saw that, I said, yeah, he QB1. I mean, with the franchise, with so much history, when they start promoting you and showing your QB legacy and journey all the way up to now, I mean, it's clear and obvious, the writing on the wall. He's definitely QB1. That's what I saw. I mean, that's what I thought when I first saw it. I was like, yeah, it's clear. And what's crazy, you still have people questioning it, still saying, no, it's not. He's not QB1. And to me, those people are reaching for clicks. I mean, it's
say that again. Say it with your chest. They're reaching. It's reach at this point. It's reach season.
at this point, it's reach season for sure. What was your thoughts when you first seen it?
So like y'all, they said, G. Bush, I was doing a show last week, and it was crazy because they kept being like, G. Bush, did you see the video? Did you see the video? I'm like, I didn't see it. I do my show at 9. So I go in, I cut my stuff up, and Rosie pulls up, as she always do. She always see it first. She said, "Did you see the video?" Say, "Yeah, let me see it." And I actually, when I peeped it, I said, "Man, this is different."
Mm.
Because the organization actually seems like it's listening. I've always had a problem with the way that they started the adversarial relationship between people who supported Shedeur Sanders and people who was in the city just waiting to see. Because here's the thing, MacDog, there's a lot of people that aren't in the weeds like we are. There's a lot of people that's just gonna believe what they see. And then once they started to see it, it all started with the Todd McShay and let me tell you about his interview process. And the Giants don't like him, and nobody else wanted him. And for me, I took super offense to it because no disrespect to none of them. I don't care what none of them talking about. I don't care if the Giants don't like him or the Commanders or listen. He got drafted by my team. So it was in my mind, I'm sitting here looking at my brethren, my counterparts, my colleagues, my constituents, and I'm listening to them repeat and parrot national talking points as if those teams were if those guys are interested in anything in Cleveland. They look at us as a laughing stock, us as a poor old organization. They got their team taken away and ain't been good since Jim Brown and Paul Brown. So my thing was, I think it's fancy that you come in here and you telling us how we should feel when you don't care nothing about us. And it seems like the organization has made a concerted effort to say, you know what, I ain't even gonna lie. We let the last coach sully his his whole character because the way he acted as if this guy was some pariah and some guy on the side of the fence. And he I was flabbergasted that they had him on a secondary field and Dylan Gabriel was getting ushered all of these reps like he was somebody. It had me hot. I'm gonna just be real with you, Mac Dog. But I think the Browns that Jimmy Haslam is trying to overturn and trying to go and offer an olive branch now.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And as I said earlier, it showed during free agency, spending so much money on the offensive line, and then and it seems like like I said before, they're building around Shedeur. I think that they still have to address that left tackle position, which is why I know everybody is saying go after a wide receiver with their first pick in as far as that sixth pick in the first round. But I would
Shedeur
actually go after
Sanders
that offensive
arriving.
lineman, Monroe Freeland. Um,
Mm,
I wouldn't take that risk for one of those
mm.
offensive linemen to fall to the 24th pick. I just will go ahead and get an offensive lineman, then get it because I feel like the wide receiver room. I mean, the draft class for the wide receivers is deep, so you can always get a wide receiver later. Um, that's just me. I would protect them. I mean,
Yeah,
because you got to.
I like what you said right there because you are correct. The tackle draft is much more shallow than a receiver draft. If you per se, told yourself that hey, I need to get me with the best tackle, right? You still can get you a viable receiver, in at 24. The receiver class is very deep. We've been going over the receivers here, in the barbershop, all season, and basically, I think if the tackle is on your board and Myron Freeling is your guy, and you feel like he's going to be a guy that's going to be an all pro, he fits the scores in terms of the athleticism, played in the SEC. He's a very young prospect, and you can get him in. And if he's going to be a great starter for you, he'll be in his second contract by the time he's 25, 26 years old, still in the prime. So if whoever's on their board, the one thing that I want the Browns to do, if they got conviction about him, take him. If you got conviction in your scouting reports and your scouting department say it's the tackle, then take the tackle. Whoever it is, if it's the wide receiver, take the wide receiver. But either way it goes, I do think that the first two picks have to be something to accentuate and to really move and to put Shedeur in the best situation to succeed in 2026.
Hey, I agree with you 100%. If you got a Ferrari, you're gonna put a fence around it. You're gonna make sure you protect it. So if Shedeur Sanders is really your guy and you really investing in him, you have to protect him. I mean, it starts with the O line. And as I said before, I watched Shedeur Sanders get beat up at Colorado, 52 sacks, the most in FBS. he never really had an offensive line, but he's shown that he can stand in the pocket and deliver and take hits. But you don't want your quarterback to get banged up unnecessarily. Get him an offensive line, and he can make receivers. Me as a former wide receiver, I'm here to tell you, you have some quarterbacks that can make wide receivers, and then you have some quarterbacks that need wide receivers. Shedeur Sanders don't need great receivers. He can make good receivers great, and we saw that with his last second half of the season. As far as last season with the Browns, I mean, he beat some heavy hitters, 2, 3, and 4. I mean, beat 2 divisional teams. So I mean, those with Isaiah Bond and Jerry Judy's not exactly.
World, Cedric Tillman in and out. And then Harold Fannin Jr. missed the last game. Quishon Judkins was done after the Buffalo game. So he won 2 division games when the team had nothing to prove. And he did that with limited roster and limited people around him. I think we've come to the conclusion that we read the tea leaves, but as you said, I don't know about my media brethren. I don't know. They just seem to always be, they always lagging behind. You did a show, and make sure you check out MAGDOG again. Make sure you checking him out.
Appreciate you.
Make sure you're checking out, subscribing. This is part of his last video, which is, I believe, is up today, as of today. He did a good job of explaining it and really breaking down the way. Now, we saw the video with the Cleveland Browns showing you what it is. The Browns have also been telling people via their Twitter. They've been telling people who have been watching out here, the tea leaves are moving. It's time for y'all to get into the motion and understand what we got going on. But this is part of the video. Make sure you go check out this video in its entirety on MAGDOG's YouTube channel. This was a clip, him talking about Ken Carman, Anthony Lima. Ken is already kind of switching. You kind of see it. Lima was on vacation. Ken is already sliding to the left like it's the Cupid shuffle. And Lima is still trying to push back a little bit. But I thought this was good commentary that you had earlier today, courtesy of 92.3 The Fan.
Just sent us a very encouraging message as far as Shedeur Sanders supporters about Shedeur being their franchise quarterback. And it even have Browns insider Tony Grossi getting on board. I'm going to show you guys exactly what I mean by that. So let's keep this train rolling. All right. So as you guys can see, Cleveland Browns tweeted out 1 month till we're on the clock. Now, if you are somebody that's just not as observant as myself, you're going to keep swiping. Me, I'm very observant. I pay close attention to what's being put out there, especially me as a Shedeur Sanders supporter and me being a leader of the Browns media, or one of the leaders when it comes to Shedeur Sanders. Look at the images. You got Myles Garrett, future Hall of Famer, Denzel Ward, future Hall of Famer, and at the bottom right, you have Shedeur Sanders. 5th round pick. If Shedeur Sanders was not their guy, why would they add Shedeur Sanders in this mix? They could have added Dillon Gabriel. Dillon Gabriel was a higher draft pick than Shedeur Sanders. They put Shedeur Sanders in this mix for a reason. Shedeur Sanders will be QB1. Pay close attention to what Browns reporters had to say about this tweet.
Did you find it at all funny, though, that Shedeur Sanders was included in the same social media message as Myles Garrett, Joe Thomas, and Denzel Ward?
Well, guys holding up the #1 jersey. You got 2 Hall of Famers, right? And Denzel is one of the best to do it in a Browns uniform.
Oh, he's the best since '99. Yeah, definitely.
Put it this way. I mean,
why wasn't Mason Graham holding up his #1 jersey up there?
216-474
yeah, I mean,
92.
but one's a linebacker, one is a defensive tackle. Like, Shedeur's a quarterback.
Yeah. I think the Browns
You're always going to promote your quarterbacks in some way, and they can't.
What's the left tackle that's not on the team?
This one was MAGDOG. This was cold. Now the guy in the top right-hand corner is pretty much, probably in my opinion, one of the best top 3 tackles of all time, and Joe Thomas, who frequents the UCSS. Shout out to Joe Thomas. And you put Shedeur Sanders in with Myles Garrett, is the best defender. He might go down as the best player if it wasn't for Jim Brown in the history of the Browns. Joe Thomas, who's on the Mount Rushmore as well. And then you got Denzel Ward, who's the best cornerback since 1999 and the Browns coming back. And then it's Shedeur Sanders, little old Shedeur Sanders, 5th round pick Shedeur Sanders. Not Dillon Gabriel, not Quinshon Judkins, not Harold Fannin, not Deshaun Watson, not the defensive rookie of the year and Carson Schlesinger. It is Shedeur Sanders. What say you, my good sir? You're very observant. Was that a coincidence, or you think it's a little more that meets the eye?
Oh, it's absolutely. I mean, they're sending a message to the. I think honestly, they're trying to mold some of the old heads. Trying to get them on board. Like Tony Grossi, he's been around for a minute as far as within the Browns community. We know he's not a big Shedeur Sanders fan, so I think they're trying to get those type of analysts on board rather than some of the newer analysts. But it's clear and obvious. Anytime you promote Shedeur with those heavy hitters like Miles Garrett, Denzel Ward, you didn't put Dylan Gabriel, who they've been saying supercomputer. You didn't throw him in there. I mean, it's clear and obvious that Shedeur is the guy. And I also think they're trying to reward Shedeur Sanders from how they did him last year as well. We know Shedeur should have been drafted before Dylan Gabriel. That's for sure. So that was my thoughts about it.
Yeah, listen, I thought it was very clear messaging. I thought it was a situation where they made sure that people know Shedeur Sanders is probably going to be quarterback one. Y'all can get along with it. Y'all can figure this out, or we can just keep giving you messages. Another message that we got to take a look at is Tony Grossi. He talked a little bit about what was going on with the pro days, and the Cleveland Browns last year went to a lot of the pro days from the guys and other guys in draft picks that were quarterbacks. This year, not so much. Let's take a look at what Tony Grossi had to say, and might Tony Grossi see the writing on the wall?
Guys still don't believe Shedeur Sanders is QB1. Pay close attention to Tony Grossi. Of all people, Tony Grossi has some key things to say about the Browns, general manager, and owners not even showing up to the pro days.
It's a big week draft-wise. Obviously, we're a month away, but pro days, it's like the biggest week of pro days that we have. Monday, today, we have Iowa, LSU, Miami, Toledo. So Miami, Tuesday, Auburn, Notre Dame, Texas. Wednesday, big one, Alabama, Arizona, Ohio State, Texas A&M. Will we see top-level Browns personnel at any of these?
Well, we haven't so far. That's pretty much been established that they have not, the GM or head coach, or certainly not the owner, have attended any of the pro days, unlike a year ago when they were looking for quarterbacks. We'll see. Alabama and Ohio State on the same day. Okay, if you want to go check out Ty Simpson and Caden Proctor, you weigh that against missing the Ohio State, which is like an all-star team. I don't know. If I were the GM, I'd probably be at the Ohio State pro day. We'll see what they do.
That alone tells us everything that we need to know about Shedeur being QB1.
Listen, I thought that was very interesting that the Cleveland Browns are in a position right now where you could go see Alabama's pro day. You can go now. Trust me, they got scouts everywhere. Just because they don't show up does not mean that they've taken these guys off the list. But one of the things that I do believe is, they are not in a hurry or a rush to go out and check out these other quarterbacks. They're just, Ty Simpson is a late round pick, a later draft pick, in my opinion. I got Ty Simpson as a second or third round pick. Somebody may overdraft him in the first round, but I look at the Browns and the way, if you piece together from the messaging, not only the messaging, but from the videos of him going to see Todd Monken, from everybody seeming like they're on the same page with the players and his teammates, to now guys saying, hey, listen, I got to get with Jerry Jeudy. I got to get with Malachi Corley in terms of let's get together and throw the football. And now you have the pro days coming up, and the Browns look like they're more interested in building the offense around Shedeur and doing things other than entertaining and having these smoke screens about quarterbacks that they possibly, most likely, are not interested.
Yep, I definitely agree with you as far as that go. And last year it was a different story because we were seeing them go out to like Boulder. I mean, the general manager, the owner, the nephews, everybody was out to see Shedeur Sanders. And then not to say that they didn't go and look at Jackson Dart, but they was more active last year than they are this year. And I mean, if they was really looking for a quarterback, they would definitely be boots on the ground trying to make sure that they really truly want to invest in these quarterbacks. So I mean, it's clear and obvious that that's not the direction that they're going this year.
I like what you said earlier too. You said, and I think what they're doing is this. I think the Cleveland Browns are a little more savvy and they're trying to do two things. One, they're trying to change the approach in which I'm from Cleveland. And one thing that the media has been is super duper over the top toxic when it comes to the quarterbacks. That doesn't just have to do with Shedeur Sanders. That goes back to our previous quarterbacks, right? It goes back to previous quarterbacks like Baker Mayfield. And one of the things that Tony Grossi had a contentious relationship with him. Deshaun Watson was a quarterback that when he got injured, people cheered while he was crying on the cart. We can go way back until Tim Couch, who was booed or cheered when he was injured. What we need to do, and one of the things the Browns have to do a better job of is, yes, it's great to have competition, but it's like fighting a war. If you're fighting a war, everybody can fight a war, right? Everybody can get down and physical, and that's the exciting part of it. But what do you do when it's time to govern after the war, right? When you have a quarterback competition, how do you then turn that competition and say, this is the winner? Now, how do we get behind that guy? And I think one thing that they're trying to do is they're trying to humanize Shedeur Sanders because they didn't stand, the organization did not stand in the way of some of the stuff coming out because it was obvious that there were things coming out of the locker room about Shedeur. Also, I think that there's another point to look at is that the Cleveland Browns are doing exactly what you said. They are trying to get some of the old guard on. They got the new generation. They got the folks that know that been boots on the ground, that been knowing what it's been about. That saw Shedeur Jackson, they saw Shedeur at Colorado. They're trying to get some of the old guys, the Tony Grossis, the Mary Kays, the Jason Lloyds, the Zach Jacksons of the world. They're trying to, Nate Ulrich, a lot of guys. They're trying to get those guys on board to give them an opportunity to say, hey, look, we like this kid, give him an opportunity and chance and give the Browns a chance to get through this year to see what we got.
Yeah, that's definitely what I feel like they're trying to do. Because as you said before, the new generation, I mean, you see the risk up, everywhere. I mean, from the youth players, you see a lot of business people throwing up the risk. I mean, everybody, the entire Browns community embraced Shedeur Sanders. And I think that Jimmy Haslam definitely is caught on, he's caught on to what the fans want to see. If you don't play Shedeur Sanders, then you're going to see it as far as that bank account going to show, because I know you are a longtime Browns fan, but it's for sure if Shedeur Sanders wasn't a part of the Browns, a lot of people would not be watching or talking about the Browns. Do you feel that way as well, being a longtime Browns fan?
Yeah, I mean, that ain't no shot. That is not a shot. Like the Cleveland, you got to think about this, man. The Cleveland Browns have what we call, I'm a documentary type person, and there are certain countries who, where their birth rates aren't high enough. They may be, they may have a population explosion, and in certain countries where you're not, they may even prohibit how many children you can have, or now people got more education. People are starting to do things later in life. Maybe people don't, choose to have. My mom and dad had. My dad had 11 brothers and sisters, and my mom got 8 brothers and sisters. So you think about how many siblings and offspring that is in extended family. But now people is having 1 or 2 kids. You know what I'm saying? Maybe 1, maybe 2, and they're getting later in life before you decide to have them because of economics and just the way life is and work and everything like that. So the thing is, when you take a look at that example, I think the Cleveland Browns have an aging fan base. And what I mean by that is the aging fan base, not in terms of, there aren't, all our Browns fans are old, but there's so many people who don't remember a time where the Cleveland Browns were good. There doesn't seem to be a point in time where people don't remember the Browns being good. The Browns left in 99. Since 99, we haven't won the division since 1989. Now, think about that. There's 4 teams in your division. You ain't won the division since 1989. So think about the number of people that are even living right now that remember when the Browns used to be good. And so when Shedeur Sanders comes into the building, he brings a different fan base. He brings a different fan base that would have never been watching the Browns. And instead of looking at it as a bad thing, as an adversarial thing, I think they should have been looking at it as an opportunity to infuse some new life and new blood into their fan base. Not only economically, not only energy wise, spiritual wise, or just overall the appeal of the Browns to reinvigorate the organization. They looked at it as, oh, these guys or these people aren't part of this. These aren't part of us. So that's one of the things that I take a look at, and one of the things that I look at by far. Shedeur Sanders, in terms of the Cleveland Browns, has brought a completely different fan base, a global fan base, and it would be wise for not only the media, but the ownership and the people involved in the Browns community to capitalize off that. It is not a bad thing. And not only that is, he can actually play. That's the most important thing. He can actually play.
Yep, I agree with you on that, for sure. He can play. And as I said before, he just needed the opportunity. I felt like he should have played in the beginning of the season last year. If they would have started Shedeur last year, I really feel like they would have made the playoffs with the defense that they had last season.
Yeah, listen, there was games they would have won the Jets game. They could have won a lot of other games. But here's the great thing about it. I do believe that since Shedeur did not play, I think it gave him an opportunity to grow as a man, to grow and through adversity, and also grow and to actually, because if he's the quarterback this year and he goes through another competition with Deshaun Watson, whatever the case that may be, you could come out of this thing and you could say, Shedeur Sanders, uh, he was a 5th-round pick. He battled a coach that did not want him. He played well enough to give the general manager the reason to give him an opportunity in 26. He impressed the new coach, Todd Monken, and what he wanted to do. He battled Deshaun Watson, and here he is still standing as quarterback 1. If that happens, nobody can say anything because he went through the fire. You see what I'm saying? Nobody can really say anything in regards to that. And I think he'll be a better quarterback for it.
Yeah. Yep, I definitely agree with you on that.
I'm gonna ask you this question. This is the one. He said G Bush got a pet bird. I said, man, he in a better location. Listen, they can tweet, hey, they can chirp away. He in a better location than I am. It's snow outside where I'm at. So let me ask you this question. And this is for all of and I need y'all to give me y'all's opinion on this. Because you asked me a question about the Browns fan base. I'm going to ask you about the Shedeur fan base in community Colorado. All the CU aunties and uncles out there, extended family, I need y'all help on this. So as a Browns constituent, I've been a Browns fan my whole life, right? Let me ask you, you've been covering this team, you've covered Prime, you've covered Shedeur. What would it take for the Colorado CU aunties and the coalition that follow Shedeur? What would it take in order for those people to not only identify as Shedeur Sanders fans, but would turn into Cleveland Browns fans? And what I mean by that is, would it take them naming Shedeur quarterback 1 or him being franchise quarterback? Would it take wins? Does it take Super Bowl or championships? Does it take him being here 10 years? Or do you think that's even a possibility? And I want everybody's thoughts on this, because that's one of the things I always think about is how do you go from saying that, okay, we love Shedeur Sanders, but how does it go from that to, we not only love Shedeur Sanders, but I ain't even gonna lie, I love the Cleveland Browns? What would that take, or is it even possible?
That's a very, very good question. When it comes to the CU aunties, with me covering Shedeur, well, even Colorado, all from the beginning, it's going to take a lot for the Browns to, I guess you could say, buy over that Shedeur Sanders, the CU aunties. First of all, you got to show that you're really protecting Shedeur, as far as the way you treat him, from the media. Last year, we saw a lot of the BS that was going on, like I say, with the head coach not saying Shedeur Sanders' name. The Browns allowed that. Mary Kay, last year we saw what primetime Deion Sanders, he was sick. And during the time of Shedeur Sanders trying to compete, we saw where Mary Kay was asking Shedeur questions about his father. Are you going to visit him? And all this while Shedeur is trying to compete for a job. And, just questions you shouldn't ask during camp, they're going to have to really, you can name him QB1, but you're going to have to show that you really is protecting Shedeur. It's more about loyalty and the way you take care of 12 rather than wins and losses, because we know Shedeur Sanders is a winner. He was born a winner. We know that he's capable of winning. We know he can ball when it comes to on the football field, but how he's treated is what really going to take the CU aunties to fall in line.
Can you put that comment back up there real quick? The last one you had. I think I like that. Lord of the Drip, OG says they would have to see the organization embrace him, see the city embrace him, and see the Browns have success. I like the triumvirate right there. I think you're starting to see the organization take the first steps in correcting some of the missteps that they had. The second thing that I do have to would say with that as well is the city has to embrace him. And, there are, and I can't gauge in terms of the media versus the city, but one thing that I can say is when them jerseys when them 12 jerseys started getting passed around at Christmas time, that went away. But, and the thing, and I will say this about Browns fans, as the ambassador to the rest of the community, as being a longtime Browns fan and growing up in the area, if the Browns win, I'm gonna tell you what. If they're winning and you are the quarterback of the winning team, it ain't no better place. You listen. Bernie Kosar was the last coach to our last Brown to really win at that level, and he is treated like royalty. He don't got to buy no beers. He don't got to buy no meals. He walk around. I've been out to dinner with Bernie multiple times, and this dude is still to this day has a line of 5 to 6 people waiting to sign autographs, and they notice him, they recognize him. So if he get it off the ground, and then the Browns are winning, we might got one. We got one. Let's get to a couple of more. I'm waiting till they say he's quarterback 1, so I can get my Browns things. DeAndre, that's I like that. Last year we saw Kevin say it was an open quarterback competition, and if we never said that, 99% of the backlash would have never happened. Stefanski got caught in a lie, and it avalanched. I agree with that. He should have never said it was a competition if he didn't believe in it, MAGDOG, and said, look, I'm just want to see what these young dudes can do. We're working on developing them. But I think he tried to thread the needle by still telling people, hey, we want you to pay attention to us. But then when they started paying attention, it was like, hold on, you really ain't giving them an opportunity. He didn't want that heat. Then he wanted to smoke then.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you when it comes to that. And towards the end of the season, he started to, do a little better. Like you said before, with winning, everybody likes to win. And so when he started winning, I feel like that's when he started to kind of slowly get on board. And then, of course, his job was on the line as well. So now that he's in Atlanta, I noticed that he tried to make excuses now and talk about he wish he had more time with Shedeur and stuff like that, but it's too late now,
Right. Hey, listen, listen, MAGDOG, I threw this out to you, right? I'm excited because this is, I save stuff. I save a little, I got questions, I don't ask everybody, but I saved this question for you because you came through, like you've been in the game. And could you put the one, I think Just a Girl said it. Could you put that back up? This warmed my heart. She says, or he says, excuse me, Just a Girl is actually a dude, by the way, I believe. So I'll be messing up sometime. I hate to admit it, but I think I'm already a Browns fan. Can't watch a team for an entire season, from preseason, regular season, and not want them to win as many times as they lost. I Beautifully Blessed also had a nice comment to say. I love Shedeur. I love the Browns. I realized this when I started knowing all the players. It's a slow process, Birdshoe says. I already love the Browns. I didn't like Stefanski, but I'm locked in with the Browns. I actually think this changed a lot, and you can give me your thoughts on it. When they switched from Kevin Stefanski to Todd Monken, I think that semi gave them a new lease on life in terms of giving the Browns the opportunity.
Yep, I agree with you on that. And because with Todd Monken, we knew from the jump he wanted Shedeur Sanders. I mean, the way the Cleveland Browns promoted that exchange as far as the head coaching change, they promoted Shedeur. In the video, we saw where he said, "I really wanted to, you know what?" So I think that definitely shifted the culture that we're seeing getting on board slowly. And it started with the hiring of Todd Monken, with him wanting Shedeur since high school in Georgia, and now they're able to reunite, and so I agree. I definitely see that change happening.
R. Anderson says she became a big time fan. See you, Auntie here, can be both a Shedeur Sanders fan and a fan of another team, just like a huge fan of LeBron, but a lifelong Knicks fan. Let me tell you something, R. Anderson. Let me say this. You know LeBron coming back, right? We're going to put that out there right now. Let me just tell y'all something. LeBron James and Shedeur Sanders in the same place in the same time? Nah, G, I'm really a girl, a woman. You see, this is why the CU aunties rule the game. I'd be telling them, I said, I knew they was coming around here. I told all my people, I said, listen, they're going to get you together. They will tweet you. They find out information. I don't know where they work at. They seem to have unlimited PTO. They just pull up and they be like, no, sir. I need you to have 2 seats, sir. And they don't care.
The CU aunties, they don't play.
they don't. I don't know. They have a coalition. I'm like, bro, I knew it was tough because here's how I knew, and vice versa. Here's how I knew that I was in the cult a little bit. And now we can't even say that because here's the thing. I remember Shedeur said that, and I think Shedeur did a really good job of cutting that word out. He said, no. Y'all not gonna get me in trouble here. Y'all not gonna do my people like that. I think he did it in a way that he already had it planned out. He was like, no. What does that really mean? Can you go to the Webster's dictionary with that? Because that just means a supporter. So does that mean everybody is in a cult? And he was like, not really. He kind of ended that thing smooth. When you look at this, what got me about Shedeur was I realized that my wife, she's from the Philippines, and they watch basketball, MAGDOG. They watch basketball. And she was watching Steph Curry and them and Giannis. She got here, she was watching the Browns. Then Prime went to Colorado. I live on the East Coast. All the Colorado's games is on at like 10 o'clock. We up late. I'm noticing. My mom called me. She like, yeah, man. Hey, what y'all doing? Shedeur and them on. She would put me on speakerphone. Shedeur, they was watching the Baylor game and the Kansas State game and the USC game. And then all of them in one time just couldn't stand Dan Lanning. You couldn't play, or you can play no Oregon stuff in the house. Like, I was watching those games and we was all up watching the games. My dad said, hey, give me one of them Coach Prime suits. I said, the whole thing? Give me the Coach Prime suit. And I think a lot of people in America identified with that because I meet so many people that tell me about how epic it was when we was watching those games against Colorado State. Who would have known the Colorado State MAGDOG was a game, was supposed to be a thing? How did that hit you the same way? And is that what caused you to kind of get into the game and do that?
Yeah, definitely. 100%. Like we're really watching Colorado at 9, 10 o'clock at night. And then I would do the recaps. And I mean, the lives would be crazy. I mean, we're literally talking about the Colorado Buffs at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. It was absolutely crazy, man. What primetime Deion Sanders and Shedeur and them was able to bring to the city of Colorado. I think that was absolutely amazing. And, like you say, I mean, the Colorado versus Colorado State game was one of the most highest viewership games. At that time, I think it had more views than some of the NFL games. They were getting 5 million, 9 million viewers during some of those games. and it was crazy. It definitely was. One of the things I
Go ahead.
Well, one of the things I wish I would have done was went to one of the games. That's one of the things I wish I would have done. But yeah, it was definitely crazy.
Hey, well, listen. You got to come. You give one of these Cleveland. Let me. The energy around this young core and nucleus of players. It's a coach that never thought that he was going to get an opportunity to coach at that level. There's guys who and Shedeur Sanders who you saw them play their story. You see guys had an opportunity. It's a young core of guys. And I think I'm gonna tell you what. Once this thing take off. And there's going to be a lot of people jumping up on the bandwagon. And I told them, y'all got it. The arc doors is open as of now. The arc is open. Come on in. It ain't raining too much. But what we going to do, we going to give you an opportunity. But I've told them if the CU aunties is at the door, they're going to take their shift over. When they start getting thunderstorm, they're going to remind you. You was doing this when it was raining. But it's going to be something special out there, man.
Yep, I definitely agree. I actually predict the Browns to make it to the playoffs in 2026. That's how high I am on it. With that defense coming back, and then like I say, you build that offensive line, adjust that left tackle, get you a few wide receivers, and watch what Shedeur do.
Man, if your crystal ball and your prediction is correct, let me tell you something. The Cleveland Browns will have an opportunity on becoming America's team. I'm gonna tell you that because there's two or three things that go into it. You first have to have an organization that's storied enough for people to like it. You also have an organization that has a good story. And nobody can say that the Browns don't have a story because they got the team took, they've been downtrodden. You also need new energy. There is new energy, a new quarterback. And then two, we got the new stadium coming up too. So all the CU aunties and uncles, come on up. We ready to go. And by the way, I'll get the last comment on this. Let me ask you this question. Are you for the change in jersey?
That's a very good question. I am. I'm definitely because as a former player myself, that jersey number, I mean, it means more than just a number. You know, there's different meanings behind it. Shedeur Sanders, for an example, had been rocking the number 2 since probably we don't know how long, and so. And then with what Kevin Stefanski did to him in that number 12, I think that number 2, if he do number 2, I mean, it's the jersey sales gonna go crazy. You know, I mean, I would definitely be in line for that too. And it can kind of transition to the new journey with what him and Todd Monken has. What about you? How do you feel about the jersey switch, the number switch?
Well, Boog. Shout out to Boog. He pulled up. He was over here. Shout out to him. That interview was up. You go check that out. Boog said, G. Bush, what you think about the 12? I said, listen. Now, Boog asked me. I told him the first thing because when he got here, Shedeur was embroiled in a lot of stuff. I said, under no circumstances is the risk celebration going anywhere. Do not let them folks talk you out of nothing. That right there that's it. Don't ever change that. Matter of fact, you let me talk to them folks if they trying to hate. I'll talk to them. So, but the jersey, I said, now listen, Nike, I got a whole game plan for you ready to go. That's that rebirth. Like he did the 12 because it was prime 21 backwards, right? You know what I'm saying? And so now he had a position where, I had to, mature and do some things, but it's always that rebirth. Now, I done got rid of the one. The one came through the fire and the purity. So the one burned off. We got the 2 ready to go. And we right back, but it's an evolved sense, right? So to me, like Nike can do the 2, and you run that ad right before the season start, and let me tell you something, they're gonna have a whole city going out go get one of them. I done brought a whole lot of shout out to my real aunts and uncles and all of them out there. I done bought a lot of 12 jerseys, a lot of 12s, like a whole. I got 11 aunts, many cousins. I got. If they go back to the 2. You're going to have to get it. They're going to have to. You got to get it. You got to, man. You got to get it.
Yes,
I'm definitely waiting on that 2. 2 is the fresh start. Yes, 2 back to the old, but also bringing the new vibes. See, we got to do it. Yep, since Little League, 2 is the only number he's ever worn. He was like 4 years old, and his father's number that would wear that he couldn't wear when he got to the NFL because of the rules. I am getting the 2 jersey, no doubt. And they listen, the auntie's gonna support it. You could put the 12 jersey up as a throwback.
Yes, yes, you sure could.
That's a throwback. You know what I'm saying? That's a throwback. Let me get to my super chats, man. Y'all been great, man. This has been a great conversation, man. I'm glad that you helped me convert. I didn't even know. I didn't know how to kind of start the conversation. Who would have known, MAGDOG, that you guys have already been converting secretly over the last 8 to 12 months? That's so nice, y'all. Y'all so nice, man. Eric ATR, been trying to catch you live, finally did. I like the moves the Browns are making. Yes, indeed. I love them too, Eric. Patrick Williams says, G. Bush looks like the Cleveland media purposely stays away from Shedeur being the Offensive Player of the Year narrative. Are they staying away from that? Patrick, they won't even give us the quarterback one vibes yet. They can't even come to the conclusion that it's quarterback one. What really hurt their heart was the whole Pro Bowl thing. That hurt them. You gotta mind them. They still hurt from the Pro Bowl thing. You know, we use that against them. It's okay. Ohio Player 3000 said Jimmy got to put butts in the seats, and Shedeur will do that. And if he get lucky, he may find his quarterback one. Well, I think he done already done a lot to go to. He done solidified. I ain't say he solidified, but he went to that video. To me, goes a long way, because I think it went a long way in being like, yeah, we should have stepped in. We tripped a little bit. My bad. Yeah. Therefore, I've never watched football of any type. I consider myself a Browns fan because I'm a Shedeur fan. Y'all debunking a whole lot of stuff right now. I already love the Browns. I didn't like Stefanski, but I'm locked in with the Browns. Beautifully blessed. I love Shedeur. I love the Browns. I realized that when I started knowing all the players. Just a girl, I hate to admit it, but I'm already a Browns fan. Can't watch a team for an entire season. And by the way, we will be watching again this season, my good guy. We will be to continue to do that. Ohio Player 3000 said we will have primetime games if Sanders is quarterback one. Oh, we got a European game. We're in Paris. And because Shedeur is number one. So we ready to do it. MAGDOG, I appreciate you so much. This is not the only time you're going to be on. Trust me. We got to pull up. If anytime you need me, you hit me up. We'll pull up over where you're at, and we can do that. Let everybody know where they can find your work on YouTube, subscribe, and continue the good fight.
Yeah, first and foremost, I definitely appreciate you for allowing me to be on your platform. As you see, I'm still growing within the media. That's why you guys hear the birds, and you probably hear a little traffic in the background. But I'm continuing to grow. You can find me on MAGDOG TV. Let's see. Can you still hear me?
I got you.
Okay, yeah, you can find me on MAGDOG TV on YouTube. As I said before, I'm still growing, and I definitely appreciate you for showing a little bit of my work. Making me feel good, to continually keep grinding, and it's definitely appreciative for sure.
Hey man, listen, let me tell you something, man. All the subscribers and all of the people, I like to show it's about the growth. And here's what we do at the barbershop. It's about having good, solid conversations. And we like to feel like it's the front porch. So we listen, we ain't worried about no buzzing. We ain't worried about no birds. That means somebody singing and they happy. And by the way, my man, continue to keep grinding. 43,000 subscribers is not light. Let me just tell you something. When I was in this game and I started a YouTube channel, and it was stuck at 7,000 for dang near 10, 12 years. So my thing is, you doing tremendous, all the young guys, and as long as you continue to move the conversation forward, you continue to have a level of integrity about the way you present it and being unapologetic, the numbers will follow you. And it's about showing each other love, showing each other that you can support one another in their platforms. And unlike the people in the regular media, we ain't got to go back and forth and do all kind of crazy stuff and talk and slander each other. It's enough room at the table for everybody, and we need to continue to grow the community of independent content, and we appreciate everybody that supported.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I definitely, like I say, appreciate you for sure.
Let's get to one more. Miss Bell, I'm late. Have to be a Browns fan as long as Shedeur is there. He's how I got there. Miss Bell is a Browns fan. She got the jersey on her. Miss Bell is a Browns fan. And TK5904, great show. Listen, I love you guys to death. And if you don't know, man, you know. We are now Browns community. We are hashtag New Cleveland. And if you don't know, make sure you check out MAGDOG. And if you want to find out what the fresh cut on sports is, you know I keep the Clippers with me. You never know where I'm going to show up. But if you want a good cut, I get you together. Have a good rest of your evening. And as always, no matter what they be saying, it's always go Brown.